Hi everyone, I'm just going to do a relatively brief general video of how to draw water through your tap and fill the boiler up in order to prime the system. So as I said, this is a very general video and it will work with any vehicle. I mean, generally speaking, it's going to be ones that have got a Truma boiler, but in the same respect, it's probably going to work or be very, very similar for any heating system, really. So the first thing you're going to want to do, so the idea of priming the system is that you make sure that the boiler is full of water, and also that you haven't got any air in the system anywhere, so any air in the water pipes, hot or cold, and also that you haven't got any leaks. So I'll show you how to do all of that in this one video. So the first thing you're going to do, very first thing, is make sure that you've actually got some water in your freshwater tank. So whether that be a big inside tank, whether it be an underslung tank, or even if you're in a smaller vehicle, you might have the sort of jerry can type tanks under the sink or something like that. But again, generally, make sure that you've got some water in the fresh tank. So I can physically see in this one, yes, we've got water in there. All right, so that's ticked off. I know we've got water. We can then move on. So the next thing you need to do is make sure that you've got your water pump switched on. So in this particular case, I'm going to come to the control panel here and I'm going to turn on the water pump switch. Once you've done that, if you haven't already primed the system, you will normally find, if you've got an inline pump like this one, you will find that the pump will turn itself on and run on for a few seconds, and normally it will turn itself off. All right, so that's nothing to worry about. If that pump doesn't turn itself off, it means one of a few things. It either means that you haven't got quite enough water in the fresh tank, although, as I said, you should have checked that already. It could either mean that, it could mean that you've got a leak somewhere in the system, so that it can't get the pressure, or it just means that you've got air in the lines, and normally it's going to be the air in the lines one. Okay, so if the pump turns itself on, just runs and runs and runs, the next step is what you're going to want to do now. All right, so we've turned on the water pump switch up there. We're now going to come to the tap. All right, so lifting up the tap there on the right hand side, which is the cold side of the system, we've got really good pressure. There's not coughing and spluttering. There's no kind of air being pumped out through there. I can now turn it over to the left for the hot side. Same again, really good pressure, no coughing, no spluttering. And we can now turn that off. We listen for the pump. There you go. So what happened there was the water pump carried on running for a few seconds after I turned the tap off to repressurize itself after I've drawn the water through. All right, and that is exactly what you want to happen. So once you've done that, you can absolutely be sure that your boiler is full and also that the whole system is kind of pressurized. If you find that when you turn the water tap over to the left-hand side for the hot water, you get air coming through, all it means is that the boiler isn't quite full yet and it needs to pressurize itself fully before it'll give you good pressure here at the tap. And the reason for that is the fresh side of the water system is nice and simple. It literally comes straight from the tank through the pump and to the taps. All right, so it comes directly from the tank to the tap. The hot water side is slightly different, where it comes from the tank through the pump and then to the boiler and then to the taps. Okay, so that's why if the boiler isn't quite full, you will not get water coming through the tap. The boiler has to be full in order for you to get good pressure at the tap. Now the reason that your boiler might not be full, pretty simple. You've got a drain off for the boiler. Now the Truma boilers and a few other ones as well, but the majority of them are going to have this little yellow tab. Now that's going to be, as I said, the majority well, I say the majority, but you know, the newer the vehicle you go, there's a few different types. You've either got this yellow one here, which is the most simple. This is just a manual drain off valve. You've also got a little red one with with like a pulley tab at the top, which is an automatic drain off valve. So that will drain itself off when it gets down to about 3 degrees, whereas this one won't. You have to do this manually. And you've also got the latest one, or the relatively newest one, which is like a blue tab. So it's like a little box with a blue button on it and a tab at the top. So there's a few different versions of this, but they all do the same job. This is a manual one. So to drain the boiler out from here, we just lift this up. All right. So what that does is it drains the boiler out from there straight down onto the floor, and that essentially just, you know, is a way of winterizing the vehicle. I had got another video on the channel there to show you how to fully winterize the van, but that is the reason why you might find that there's not quite enough water in the boiler, because that drain's been opened. So the other thing, I mean, it's the last thing I'm going to run through because it's you know, I don't want to sort of drag it on too much because it is quite a simple sort of system generally. But the other thing you might find, if you haven't used your vehicle in some time, it's sometimes not quite enough to just do this tap just here, not, you know, just the kitchen one. So, for example, if you've got the sort of vehicle that has a bathroom, you're going to have a bathroom tap, which has also got hot and cold. So we'll have to come here, draw the hot and cold water through here as well. So, as I said, good pressure, no coughing, no spluttering, no air in that. In this particular case, the toilet is also run by the water pump, so I would actually have to use that as well. Make sure that's all got good pressure. And the last bit would be the shower. All right, and the reason that you would do that is that sometimes it's not enough to just get rid of the pressure and the air in the system from one tap. Sometimes you'll find that there's air in the system at one or all of the other appliances as well, and only then, once you've done that, will your pump turn itself off and get to a decent pressure. But so, you know, sometimes it's not all the time, and in fact, you know, it's not very common to have to do that, but sometimes it's a good idea to do that because the quicker your pump gets to pressure, the less power it's using up, and also the, you know, sometimes every now and again you can find that your pump kind of purges in and out if it hasn't quite got to 100% pressure, which can just be due to the fact that you haven't pulled the water through and got rid of any air that might be in all of the taps. So hopefully that was helpful. As I said, this is quite a general video, but even if you've got a slightly older version of this Truma boiler, you know, even if you've got the Combi E, which is the electronic version, you know, they're very, very similar. And the only difference really is going to be that your boiler will look different or might have a different drain off valve. So the whole kind of drawing the water through and making sure that there's no air in the system is the same on just everything really. So hopefully that's been helpful, but there you go. So if there's any questions that you've got on that video, just let us know. You can even put it in the comments if you like. But there you go. How to purge the system of all the air and get your vehicle ready for using the boiler. Thanks very much.